Thomas Frank insists that he has confidence of the Spurs ownership despite the growing scrutiny and fan unrest following 3 defeats in a week. Frank believes he will receive time to get it right in North London despite criticising fans for booing Vicario. That error in Spurs' latest loss leaves them 12th in the table and without a win in their last 4.
Very confident. I think the ownership seems like, of course, I'm just starting to know them, but seems like good guys, intelligent people, know how to run business, learning about football, learning more about how they become owners. And I think when we're dealing with intelligent people, they can see every successful, dynasty, every successful club is taking time. Don't have one showcase. Yeah, you have one where you maybe win 1 year or the second year, but you can't sustain it if you don't build something sustainable. Impossible.
Right, Jamie, we know how Daniel Levy used to handle managers. He's not there anymore.
Yeah.
So why is Thomas Frank so confident that he'll get time?
I'm not sure, to be honest. Maybe he's had a good conversation with him about where he sees the future of the club, what he's trying to implement and the philosophy that he's trying to get across to the players. So maybe he's been given, a sense of time in that sense. But if you keep losing games at home and the fans are booing you, then there will be question marks over his job. And I think he needs to be very careful with how he talks about fans and the booing and the situation at hand at the moment, because it's a fan base who have been watching rubbish football for 18 months and they're still watching rubbish football, but you're asking them to keep getting onside and then you start saying, oh, you can't boo them when they're paying a lot of money to go and watch the games and they're not producing performances. And at the end of the day, the buck stops with him. And if they keep losing at home and they keep putting in that type of game, your question will come. The question will come whether your job is safe.
There's a word you're getting, Michael, that is he right to be confident that he'll get time?
Well, look, it is a new era for Spurs. They're going to head into a January window for the first time in 25 years without Daniel Levy. So the ownership's still the same, but the chairman, Daniel Levy, was a very, very hands-on chairman. So that's going to be completely different. Now, he will be speaking with Vinay Venkatesham a lot of the time, Johan Langer and Fabio Paratici ahead of January. But January feels like months away now. They've got to focus on the now. And there's no guarantee to say that, it's all going to get fixed in January. January is a very, very difficult window indeed. And some clubs might potentially smell the desperation in other clubs in terms of wanting to bring players in. For me, the issue isn't just the Thomas Frank issue. It's been a long-standing one. Ultimately, the recruitment over the last few windows hasn't been good enough. There hasn't, and I don't think there's enough leaders in that squad. There's a leadership group at the moment. 2 of those 5 in that leadership group aren't in the first team. Ben Davies and James Maddison. Spurs miss James Maddison a lot, but he's not in the squad at the moment. He's going to be out for nearly all the season. Now, if you've got some like Romero didn't applaud the fans in Paris on Wednesday. I saw Declan Rice on Sunday talking to the 2 centre-halves at Arsenal. He isn't even the Arsenal club captain. There's so many leaders in those top sides, and I fear Spurs lack leaders on the field at the moment.
But is that part of the problem? There was a report in The Sun saying that the players are frustrated by Frank's changing tactics. Is that down to a lack of leaders? When you were a player, Jamie, could you adapt to whatever easily? Is that the manager's fault or the player's fault?
I think it's a bit of both. I think the players need to grow a pair, step up to the plate and make something happen. I look at Frank's tactical nous and I think, is he the top level that we maybe thought he could be? We're not sure. It's question marks are out. Last week we got beat by Arsenal, which was a shocker. We played 5 at the back. Then we played a 4-4-2 diamond in Paris, conceded 5 goals, but you'd argue is maybe a better performance. And then we played 4-2-3-1 against Fulham. So 3 formations in a week. That's a lot of information to take on as a player. And, Ange Postecoglou last season was one way or the highway. It does feel like with Thomas Frank, it's, something different every week. Stick with something. I thought we would have played 4-4-2 against Fulham, with a diamond, with Bergvall coming aloft. I thought that looked all right. But then he changed it again. And when you're giving players information all the time and there's not that much to train on, you're relying on players to take it on board and then go and implement it out in a game And I feel like they're a bit lost. I feel like they're a little bit, what are we doing? What system are we playing? Are we sitting off? Are we attacking? Are we pressing? And I feel like they're a bit lost at the moment. But, in the other hand, as a player, make something happen. You know, regardless of what the manager says to you, go out on the football pitch, create something, you know, get the game by the scruff of the neck, be a leader. There ain't no leaders. You know, I'm hearing Pedro Porro coming out moaning about the fans, talking about Romero not coming off and, you know, not clapping the fans. Like, grow a pair. You know, stand up and be counted in big moments. There's been moments before where Tottenham have been poor, and you look for your leadership, you look for the big players in the squad to come out and say, right, regardless of how we're playing, regardless of what Thomas Frank wants us to do, I'm going to stand up and be counted. I'm going to go and put a tackle in. I'm going to go and be a leader on the pitch. I'm going to shout. I'm going to organise. I'm going to get on the ball and make something happen. They all look scared to play for Tottenham. They all look scared. The only one, there's probably 2 players I can pick out right now and I say, you deserve to have a Tottenham shirt on. Bergvall, because he runs about and he gets on the ball and he's got energy and he looks like he wants to make something, and Van der Ven. Right? Van der Ven is a top-class player. Right? But you need more than 2 players in a team, you know, in a squad. You know, he's talking about James Maddison and Ben Davies being the leaders. They're not even involved. James Maddison's injured for the whole season. Ben Davies should have, you know, I like Ben Davies. He's been a great servant to the football club. He should have left 3 years ago. Now, we're talking about players now. Where's Romero? Where's these players stepping up? Who's in the middle of the park for Tottenham? Like Declan Rice. Like Reece James the other night for Chelsea. Did you watch Reece James the other night? He was unbelievable. Where are them players for Tottenham standing up and saying, I'm going to put this shirt on, I'm going to go out there in bad moments, because it's all nice and it's all easy playing for Tottenham when you're bopping the ball about and you're playing Copenhagen, you're winning 4-0 and Van der Ven's running through the middle of the pitch. All right, it ain't like that every week. Most games playing for Tottenham are hard work. You've got to go and grind out results, got to make things happen. I don't see one player at Tottenham at the moment who's standing up with their chest out and saying, I'm going to go and do this for the club. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to make these fans cheer us, the 60,000 people who are spending their hard-earned money to go and watch rubbish football. I'm going to go out and be the player that they hang my hat on. Not one of them am I looking at saying, he can do that for us.
So what can the manager do to change that, though? Because Conte couldn't, Mourinho couldn't. These are big-name managers. Nuno couldn't. He wasn't there very long. Ange Postecoglou, yes, he won a trophy, but he couldn't do it. And now there's question marks over Thomas Frank. As early as it is, there are question marks. So what can a manager do to change this?
Well, firstly, when Spurs had Antonio Conte, they beat Arsenal 3-0. Gary Neville said after that, the crowd won that match for Tottenham Hotspur that night. It was one of the best atmospheres under Antonio Conte. Actually, probably the best atmosphere since that stadium had been built. Kulusevski, Son, Kane. Tottenham's defence now is very good. Van der Ven and Romero.
Is it good?
Well,
I mean, we keep saying it's good. And I hung my hat on Romero and Van der Ven being the best players, you know, in the Premier League. I mean, he conceded 9 goals last week.
Was there an over-reliance on Harry Kane and then Heung-min Son?
Yeah, of course there was.
Yeah. So now, I mean, last season, Ange had Maddison, Kulusevski, Son and Solanke. Frank hasn't had Maddison, Kulusevski, Solanke. He hasn't had those 4 all season. And to his credit, when I'm in press conference, he never moans about that. But we don't know when Solanke's going to be back. Kulusevski will probably be back around Christmas or after Christmas. And sadly, Maddison's going to be out for the majority of the season. Son, we know, has left. But Son, no one has replaced Son adequately. But now, Spurs still need to see more. And I'm telling you now, that atmosphere on Saturday will be good if they see more. They see stuff. Need to see more from Odegaard. Need to see more. I mean,
Xavi Simons needs to turn up.
Play him, but play him now. Got to play him.
You can't keep playing him if he's going to keep being poor, though. You can't keep playing a player who keeps letting you down. You spent £60 million on him. I watched him last season at Leipzig. He looked sharp. He was sharp. He was good on the ball. He played with intent. I'm watching him at Spurs. He's playing tippy-tappy football. He's doing little flicks and tricks. I'm thinking, get hold of the game. You're playing for Tottenham. Get hold of it. Make something happen. Move the ball quick. When I'm watching the players out there, they look lost of ideas. And that's on Thomas Frank to a certain degree, you know, because I don't think the players know which way he wants them to play. Does he want to sit in? Does he want to play counter-attack? Does he want us to press? But, you know, play with you've got to have someone. When I was at Tottenham, Harry Redknapp come in. We was in dire straits. One day Ramos lost his way, and I really liked one day Ramos, won the Carabao Cup. The next season we fell off a cliff, right? They brought in Harry Redknapp, And Harry Redknapp walked through that door, and whatever you can say about Harry Redknapp, he got that team playing. And all he did was go in and say, lads, go and play, express yourselves, make something happen. You're playing for Tottenham. You're all good players. These are all international players. We can sit here and we can moan about recruitment. Are they good enough? Have we replaced Harry Kane? Have we done this? Have we done that? All right, yeah, the recruitment ain't good enough and we ain't at the top level, but they're still good players. I watched Brennan Johnson play for Wales, banging in goals, and I'm looking, who's that player? I ain't seen that at Tottenham. It's because they play with freedom, because they're confident, because the manager backs them. Harry Redknapp come in and he was like, go and play, lads. Express yourselves. If you give the ball away, give it away. Who cares? You know, when you get it out and let's go at a defender. Let's make something happen. When you get it in midfield, drive through midfield. And if you give it away, you give it away. But I'm watching Spurs play. They're scared to make mistakes. They're scared because they think the fans are going to get on their back. But stand up and be counted. Be a man and be like, right, I'm going to go out there and make something happen. I'm sick of watching these weak players standing in the middle of pitch. Oh, let's all walk off together because we're going to get booed. Do me a favour. Come on. You're playing for Tottenham, getting paid a lot of money. You've got to play under pressure. I just can't believe they're international football players.
Well, they've got a game tonight, of course, and you can see it as well. It's Newcastle United versus Tottenham at St James's Park, live on Sky Sports Premier League at 7 o'clock. And kick-off is 8:15.